And what I'd like to do is do a second type of search to show you a data search. But just keep in mind at any time, when you do searches like this, the basic search, I do have the capability to add particular titles to my novel. I found that information by doing a gas flow rate and pipeline search, so I can even add that search to my novel. And like I said, the very last thing that we'll cover is my novel. But the last thing that I'd like to cover as far as searching goes is a data searching capability. And I'd like to give you a couple examples of data searching and how you use it. Notice when I select the Data Search tab, it tells me that it retrieves numeric and other tabular data contained in the interactive graphs, equations, and tables. And then it also tells me to click in the field box. So the first time you use data search, click in this field box to display the available search fields. And then scroll through this list and read the type of information that you can search on. You don't need to read everything, but just look through it. You can search for a particular element's content. You can search for surface tension, allowable stress, breaking strength. You know, if I scroll down here farther, there's a lot of mechanical properties like mechanical hardness, Brunel hardness, Rockwell hardness. So just to get an idea with what's in here, scroll through the list and just read a few of them. And then in the field box, if you start to type, this list will filter down. So you'll notice when I typed in MAT, it shows up in formation, shows up in kinematic, shows up in material. If I continue to type, this list continues to filter. So for this particular example, what I'm going to do is search for a material or substance, and I want to search for it based on its name. So you'll notice here in the list, I can see material or substance name. So if I select it from the list, it plugs it into the field entry. And once I have a field entry, I get a list of operators that apply specifically to that field entry. So in this case, I'm going to say the material or substance name is, and I'll search for alcohol. Now, alcohol is used in a lot of different industries, you know, and if I did this search right now, remember I have categories out there or subject areas out there for pharmaceuticals, for oil and gas, for chemical engineering, for all the other engineering disciplines. And those types of technical text would have a lot of information or a lot of reference to alcohol. So in this case, I don't want to do this search now. I want to give it additional search criteria. So I'm going to pick Add Another Row. And you'll see that I have a set of Boolean operators to link these together. And then I get that same field entry. So I click in the field entry. And in this case, what I'm going to do is start looking for alcohols. But I want alcohols only if they have boiling point information. I'm really concerned with finding the alcohol and finding the boiling point. So I started typing. I can select boiling point from the list. Now once I have a field entry, again, I get a list of operators that pertain to boiling point in this case. So for this first search, what I'm going to do is say, I only want you to give me information on alcohols if that alcohol also has boiling point information. So I'm going to say the boiling point exists, and I'll do my search. So if there's an alcohol listed out there and it doesn't have a corresponding boiling point, it won't even return that alcohol in my search. It's only returning the alcohols that have boiling point information. So let's take a look at the first couple titles here. I have Yaw's Handbook and I have Critical Tables. Now, if I was looking for physical properties and refractive index, you see there's a table here with 50 alcohols in it. But really what I'm looking for is basic physical properties. So you'll notice there's a table here, basic physical properties of chemical compounds. And there's a table there with 433 alcohols in it. Well, that's a lot more alcohols than I was looking for. I was hoping to get less than 50 alcohols because what I want to do is create a spreadsheet and distribute it to everyone that's working on this project. So what I'm going to do is use the button up at the top to go back to my data search so I can modify my search criteria. 433 alcohols is far too many to look through, and I don't want to create an Excel spreadsheet with that many alcohols in it. So what I'm going to do is come back. All the information is still filled in, and now I'm going to give it a range for that alcohol boiling point. So in this case, I'll say 150 and 200 degrees Fahrenheit is what I'm looking for. So now I'm looking for any alcohols that have a boiling point between 150 and 200. And I'll do that search again. Now my real goal here is, like I said, to get less than 50 alcohols and distribute this Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to go right back to that basic physical properties of chemical compounds and look, I have a table now with 30 alcohols in it. That might be pretty good. So what I'm going to do is select that table and interrogate this tabular information. So just like the last table, all the information about the table is at the top. The table name, the type of table. In this case, because I got this table by doing a search, it tells me what I searched for and the total number of hits. So there's 30 rows in this table. Now what I really want to do is clean this table up and then create my Excel spreadsheet. But while I'm here, I want to point out that anytime you see information in blue, that relates directly to my search criteria. So you see every time that the word alcohol is in one of these fields, because alcohol was my search, it's highlighted in blue. Anytime where there's boiling point information, it's highlighted in blue because I also search for boiling points. So you'll see everywhere where the word alcohol is, it's highlighted in blue. You'll also notice that this tert-butanol is not highlighted in blue because the word alcohol doesn't appear there. But I know it's an alcohol because it appears on this list. There's also a column here for synonyms. So if, say, tert-butanol is a real common alcohol that I know that I'm going to use on this project, it might make sense to take a look at the synonyms page and see that tert-butanol is also known as T-butanol, T-butyl alcohol, tert-butyl alcohol. And because I searched for alcohol, it's highlighted anywhere it appears in the synonyms table. So this information might be useful. I can also add this type of content into my novel. So the last thing that I'd like to do here before I export this table is just do a little cleanup. I can export it to Excel and clean it up out there, but I think that the tools to clean this up and get it the way I want are much more visual and a little bit easier to use. I'm not great with Excel. So what I'm going to do is just hide some of these columns, the synonyms column, the structure, the registry number, maybe the melting point and the index number I'll get rid of. So with each of those that I hide or turn off, you'll see my table's getting a little bit smaller. I also want to put my substance name and my boiling points next to each other because that's what I searched for. So just by grabbing it with the mouse and sliding it over, I can reorder this table. So now I'm ready to export this, but before I do, I also want to point out, notice these boiling points in this table are in centigrade or Celsius, and I searched for the boiling point in Fahrenheit. We do that unit conversion in the background and only return the results that fall within my range, even though the units didn't really match. This table happens to be published using centigrade or Celsius scale, and just because I searched in Fahrenheit, we still did the unit conversion and only return the results that fall within my range. So now I can go ahead and say I want to export this table. So I want to say I want to take the entire table, all 30 rows. I'm going to take it to Excel in this case. And when I say export, I actually happen to have pop-up blockers on, but I can say export that Excel spreadsheet, and you'll see, very quickly that I have a spreadsheet that I've created that I can distribute to everyone that's working on this project that has the material or substance name, the 30 different alcohols, the boiling point, the molecular formula, the weight, the density, and it tells me at the top of this Excel spreadsheet the book that it came from, the table inside of that book that it came from, and then the copyright information is also listed in that Excel spreadsheet. So again, finding information oftentimes is really only half of your challenge. Repurposing that information and getting it into a format that you can use is just as challenging, and you see the tools here are very nice for doing that. I'd like to thank everyone for joining me today. Again, my name is Rich Garvin. I'm with the Account Development Department at Novel, and my email address is there. So later on, when you jump into Novel, if you do come up with a question, maybe you don't have one now, but if you come up with one later, feel free to drop me an email. Again, my email address is rgarvin@novel.com. So again, thank you very much for joining me today.